And of course, the Mabeli Fu, there's something. You know, he's basically talking about the politicians, and this is one of A+'s best music, if you ask me, one of his best music that has to do with politics, and the way he just puts it all together was really nice. Well, you don't know what happened to A+, do you? He's gone more into the politics than the politicians that he sang about. But hopefully he will be the answer that the politics of needs. You never know. So let's give him that chance. Very soon on the AM Talk, we'll be talking to Mohammed Abdulaziz, a member of parliament for Mion, who has, you know, some cause to settle with Gender and Social Protection Minister Otuko Officer Jaba. We'll find out from him what he thinks, because the woman has responded, and we'll hear that as well. Kamaldeen Abdullahi is the NPP Nasara coordinator, who will also be in the studio. In the meantime, let me take you through the newspapers and what the newspapers are saying. I'm going to start with the Daily Graphic, and most of the newspapers, really the major newspapers, are very heavy on what happened at the Flagstaff House yesterday. Of course, the visit of the Ivorian president. So let me start with the Daily Graphic, and it comes with a very beautiful picture of President Alassane Ouattara and President Akufo-Addo there. The two smiling presidents, it looks like. So you can see them there. And the headlines, let me start from the banner headline. So it says, Akufo-Addo lauds Ouattara, and that story is on page 3. He's lauding him for statesmanship during the maritime disputes. The other stories there is drug barons, armed robbers busted. Sounds like good news. Mawako restaurants staff evacuated over gas leakage. We brought you that story yesterday. It was all over our bulletins here as well, and we'll be following up on that. Mawako seems to be attracting a lot of negative media attention. I mean, I don't know. They probably should be doing a lot of prayer. And so on the Daily Graphic, and I'm going to go through quickly and see what we have there. So let me tell you what's inside the daily paper, the Daily Graphic, if you should grab a copy. These are some of the stories that you should be looking out for. Where Boakai head for runoff. That's the Liberian elections. They're going for a runoff because they couldn't find a winner in the very first round. In politics, they have PNC dismisses dormancy claims. You know that a lot of people have said that the PNC is really dormant. Some of us agree. They are claiming that they are not. Okay, so you get that story in a Daily Graphic as well. Mr. President, any spare sugar for doctors? That's a feature that has been written by someone, a doctor who's asking for some sort of help for parents of doctors as well, since the nurses are getting some allowances there. And then the LPG produced by Ghana Gas is safe. That's according to the CEO, and he was responding to some suggestions that the gas explosion at the Medina Atomic Junction was as a result of substandard gas provided by the Ghana Gas. That story, all of those stories are here in the Daily Graphic. And let's see what else it's exciting in this news. Gender, they're talking about educate the girl child to end child marriage, and this is something that we ought to take seriously, and I'm mentioning it because I think that the more we talk about it, the more we're likely to find the answers to. So that's the Daily Graphic for you. Let's do quickly the back page. What is the back page? And it says commercial seaweed cultivation begins. That sounds like a good idea. About 500,000 coastal dwellers are supposed to benefit. I don't know, maybe directly, indirectly. Let me see if I can read quickly the very first paragraph. Says the Water Research Institute of the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, CSIR, is engaging people in coastal communities to make seaweed cultivation an economic venture. And that will be doing two things here: providing people with jobs and, of course, saving our system. So sounds like a good idea. The Ghanaian Times, what is it reporting? It says Ghana Gas, our gas not to blame for atomic explosion. That refers to the story that I just told you about the Ghana Gas saying that the fuel, the gas they provided is not the cause of the blast. Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire pledged to improve ties, and again has the president's picture. One would have thought that the Daily Graphic and the Ghanaian Times sort of took the same photo, because they're really pretty much the same, aren't they? Exactly, I got it. It's the same picture, but anyway, it's all good. The next story on that front page is Woyome asks SC to stop oral examination. We brought you that story in our news segment. And then police bust syndicates. Pastor 2 others duped. 52 people. Now look at that. 52 people have been duped by a supposed pastor and 2 others of 73,000 cedis. 73,000 cedis. Let me see. That story. So I'm not sure really exactly where that story is, but you're bound to find it somewhere on page 3 if you grab the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Let's look what's on the back page of the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Expedite action on construction of warehouses. And it comes with a picture of the Agric Minister, Dr. Awusue Friyakoto. Not sure particularly what it says. It's a crop farmers actually asking government to expedite action on construction of warehouses so they can keep their produce in there. You do know that we have a lot of issues with post-harvest losses, and so obviously this is an area the government ought to look at. Work to commence on Kamba irrigation dam. That's according to President Akufo-Addo. Well, they're all waiting for it, don't you think so? There's a lot of hope in the one village, one dam initiative by government or thought by government, and people are looking for it, especially farmers in the rural areas. This is obviously something that they're looking forward to. Let's move on and look at the Daily Guide. What's in the Daily Guide this morning? Of course, like I said, most of the major newspapers have the President Ouattara and President Akufo-Addo's photos, and that's all about the story as well. Nana hosts Ouattara. That's how Daily Guide reports it. Nana hosts Ouattara, and then says right after that is STC VIP clash in Kumasi. We brought you that story yesterday as well. And UK bank clears Otunfo. If you follow this story, you do know that there was this £350,000 scandal, deposit scandal that implicated the Otunfo Sage to Asante. We do have that story as well. Okay, we don't have that story at the moment, but the STC story is one of the stories that we did yesterday. Like I said, let's have a look at that story, by the way.
The State Transport Company has always operated from its terminal at Edum, another part of the city. It was the coach company of choice until it ran into some difficulty and virtually collapsed. Officials say the new terminal forms part of efforts to turn around its fortune as the area attracts a lot of passengers. Is it that where you were, Edum wasn't helping the business?
It took the passengers some time to move to the place, and we need also them that the shortest time for them to also to load our bus and pay for the space, and we also pay for the permit to operate.
So is KMA and other authorities aware of what you're doing?
Yes, sure.
But members of the Asafo Market branch of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union saw the move as a direct threat to their operations, having nurtured the business and sustained it during the period when STC was flanking. They used their buses to block the entrance of the STC bus terminal.
We cannot go to their area to operate. It is not possible. It does not happen like that.
STC had maintained that the new terminal was acquired from another GPRTU branch, but the VIP operators said that could not have been possible.
We are saying that this place was originally dedicated for GPRTU Asafo branches, and it consists about 21 branches here, and the regional secretariat demarcated the place for the various branches and the locals. So what we are saying is GPRTU Asafo, comprising of the 21 branches, we are saying that STC Intercity cannot come and possess our land or take our land to run their operation, because it is the property of GPRTU. So if you tell me that one of the local chairman is not even a branch, local chairman, they sold the property to you, it's never right, because they don't have that mandate. It's the property of GPRTU. So a local chairman or whoever cannot sell the property of GPRTU
action. It took the police, the Ashanti Regional Minister Simon Osei Mensah, his deputy Elizabeth Ajeman, and City Mayor Osei Esibe Entry to avert what could have been a bloody confrontation. An STC bus full of passengers that was held hostage in the blockade eventually managed to embark on its journey. It, however, remains to be seen if STC would resume operations from the terminal on Tuesday. Nana Juma reported.
Every day comes with its own unique story. It remains to be seen, as Nanayal says. We'll be keeping our tabs on that particular story to bring you all of the updates there. And still on Daily Guide, let's finish with that quickly. NDC did not collate 2016 results. That's according to the Butcher report. And if you have followed what Daily Guide has been doing quite lately, they sort of are serializing the Kwesi Butcher report. And one of the things that the NDC made clear was that was a level of protection they're going to be keeping on this report to make sure that it doesn't go out. But it appears, of course, that the Daily Guide has laid hands on the document, or, well, the supposed document, and are sort of serializing what they seem to have collate 2016 results. That story, they don't exactly indicate where that story is, but I'm sure if you grab a copy of the Daily Guide, you would find out. It comes with a picture of Professor Kwesi Butcher, Phyllis Kwatiofosu, and I don't know why this particular group of people have been posted on the front page of the newspaper. John Mahama, the president, former president as well, and Samuel Ofosu-Ampor for the director of elections for the NDC in the 2016 elections. And of course, it comes with a picture of Madam Charlotte Osei, the chairman of the Electoral Commission. Okay, I am sick. Woyome tells court, and that's the story we brought you earlier. Another back page is all about adverts. Let's move to the Finder newspaper, and on the Finder newspaper, we have the very big story there for them is the Ghana Gas rejecting the blame of the atomic explosion there. Right on the right side of that page, by the way, is the picture of the President Ouattara as well. President Ouattara as well. Oh, I bet I didn't finish with the Ghana Gas story. It says, we operate within limits of Ghana Standards Authority. Okay, so basically the CEO, they're defending the Ghana Gas and as far as the explosion, at the Atomic Junction is concerned. Second lady donates medical equipment to Tamale Teaching Hospital. That story can be found on page 4. Why don't you grab yourself a copy of the Finder newspaper, and you see the story of operators of STC VIP fight over terminal in Kumasi. That story is on page 5 as well. Do they have any story on the back page? Adverts, lots of money for the newspaper. Okay, now let's look at the Daily Dispatch. The Daily Dispatch is reporting Akufo-Addo and Ouattara to discuss aid loss. So we'll be keeping tabs on that story as well today. Later in the day, we'll bring you much more on that. And Samuel Okuda to Ablakwa, which is their big story. Samuel Okuda to Ablakwa, stop embarrassing, tells NPP MPs to stop embarrassing yourself. I don't know exactly what that is about. The full story on the back page. So let's see what the full story is about. Okuda to Ablakwa tells NPP MP, stop embarrassing yourself, says North Tongu MP and NDC minority spokesperson on foreign affairs Samuel Okuda Ablakwa has urged his colleague MP and Deputy Chair of Parliament's Interior and Defense Committee Collins Owusu-Amankwa to stop embarrassing himself over Collins's threat to haul him before the Parliament's Privileges Committee. So if you recall, we brought you that story as well on our platform, and one of the members of Parliament threatening that he would drag Ms. Okuda Ablakwa to the Privileges Committee. Well, Okuda is telling him to stop embarrassing himself. Let's see. Okay, so the story actually quotes JoyNews. He says Mr. Owusu-Amankwa had publicly indicated he will cause Mr. Ablakwa to be summoned before the committee for going public with content of an unsubstantiated Libyan report that alleges some Ghanaians have signed up to terror group Islamic State. He told JoyNews Mr. Ablakwa's conduct constituted a contempt of Parliament. And let me see what, so Mr. Ablakwa, I'm trying to find the response, the specific response that Mr. Ablakwa put in there. I can't find it, but why don't you grab yourself a copy of the Daily Dispatch and read the rest of that story. And on the back page as well, you can see the President and the President Ouattara's photo as well. Okay, dokes. So let's see if we can look at what the news today newspaper is reporting. Their very big story on the banner headline is Maymix move, and that story is on page 3. And that move is to halt the retrieval of the 51.2 million. In fact, some people have actually said, why don't we just let it go? Some people have said, yebeji, yeji. Okay, so the story, but when you go down that story, I mean, this story we brought you already, but when you go down, the newspaper is also reporting on the Ghana International Bank in the UK is defending Otufo in the money laundering case. Now, what the bank has done is basically to say that they apologize for dragging the name of the king into the matter, and that he did not flout any rules, etc. You can read your own interpretations on that, but this story was quite big. And as we are reporting and as we understand, yesterday was supposed to be the day for the hearing of that case, and we'll be keeping tabs to bring you some more updates as and when we have it. MCE embarks on community tour to learn concerns of residents. Well, I'm not particularly sure if I want to. Anyway, okay. So that's today's newspaper. Whichever MP it is, we don't know. But, you know, just get the work done. Get the people what they need and why they put you there. That's all that matters. Okay, the BNFT is how I end the newspaper review, and their very big story is FCube under threat. That story is on page 3. And the FCube is under threat, according to them, because fees are flying from all angles in basic schools. So this is very interesting. FCube is supposed to actually means that free, let's see, free basic education is CU that I can't remember. Free compulsory universal basic education. Free compulsory universal basic education, which means that children of school going age should be able to go to school for free. But as the BNFT is reporting, it is under threat because fees appears to be flying all over the place. That means that people are having to pay, and if you can't pay, your children cannot go to school. And it is a constitutional provision owes us that responsibility to make sure that it works efficiently. Strengthen internal controls to minimize mobile money fraud, and that is the new thing going on. We understand that there's a lot of fraud ongoing there, transactions that you did not sanction, and you see it happening, your money is running out. It's a big deal. It's a big story because a lot of people are depending on mobile money, you know, for their transactions and daily activities. So of course there has to be some security around that area some way, somehow. And the BNFT, of course, is also reporting there's a lot of figures here. I'm not particularly sure what it means, but I think it's about the FCube. It's about the FCube. Now, government intends to increase capitation by 100%, and that is 9 cedis per student. That's what the BNFT is saying. I can't really get the correlation there, but I'm sure that if you grab a copy of the paper, if you're a business person, you'll be able to understand. So let's see, there's about 4 million, and it comes all the way down to 75% of people enrolled still pay. Okay. So about 75% of pupils who are enrolled in schools are still paying levies, and that's representing almost 3 million students as per NDPC report. So even though children of school-going age should be able to go to school for free, they're having to pay levies, and that's making it difficult to realize what goals we set with the FCube. So that's it for the newspaper review. You can grab yourself a copy. Does the BNFT have anything on the back page? They do. VIP Vivo launches premium service in Kumasi. NIB launches RIA. It's all about launch. And Uber announces new general manager for West Africa. It's a lady. Isn't that great? That is certainly beautiful. Her name is Lola Kasim, and the general manager for Uber West Africa. I certainly should be looking for this woman and have a little chat with her. Don't you think so? Let's look at the online portals and what they're reporting. Well, we should start with whatever they give me, myjoyonline.com they give me. Okay, so let's start with the very first story. Court exonerates Canadian falsely accused of fraud by a Ghanaian partner. The Court of Appeal in the UAE has dismissed as unsubstantiated and frivolous allegations of fraud made against a Canadian businessman by his Ghanaian partner. The next story on myjoyonline.com. Imports levy on sanitary pads threaten education of girls. That's according to an NGO, a child and family focused organization in Ghana. It's called the Initiative. The J Initiative is impressing on government to remove the 20% tax levy on sanitary pads. I wouldn't have thought there was a tax levy, tax component on buying on sanitary pads. Perhaps I haven't really paid attention to it, but obviously this is something that has to be looked at. I mean, you can put the levies on condoms, but certainly not on sanitary pads. It's not something I agree with. Alban Bagwin touts Parliament's progress, and Second Deputy Speaker of the Ghana's Parliament, Alban Bagwin, has expressed his satisfaction with the achievement of the August House. I'm looking forward to having a tete-a-tete with this man as well. Hopefully that goes through. And still on myjoyonline.com, the next story there, you have the President, Nana Akufo-Addo, and President Alassane Ouattara. Your statesmanship for aid loss ruling, commendable. That's what President Akufo-Addo praising President Ouattara. Then the next story there as well will be money alone is not enough, and that's according to Burn Survivors Association, and they're telling government. Yesterday I hosted this group on the Pulse, and their concern really is that the people need counseling, the counseling that helps you to accept who you have become after you sustain the burns, etc., on your face. And he did mention something intriguing. He says that some of them, ladies, actually because they've been burnt, have problems with their private parts because it's been burnt together, and they have to undergo surgery to sort of split it up, and that is traumatizing as it sounds, not to think of how it really actually will feel. So they're asking that government doesn't provide people who have been burnt in the June 3 disaster, burnt in the gas explosion at Atomic Junction. That is not just about money. They're asking for rehab centers, burns rehab centers, where people are counseled to accept their new being and what they have become. That story is there as well. Mawako La Branch open for business after gas leakage scare. We brought you that story yesterday all over our platforms as well. And if we could move on, we have Libya IS report concerns under control. That is government assuring Parliament through the National Security Minister. And then I have everything I want, including women. That's countryman Songo. Okay, a bit of a fun for him there. Patrick Osayajima is actually his real name, and he's having fun there. Yesterday he was on Lexus Bill's show on Joy FM. So that's what he's saying. And the top story on myjoyonline.com is NGOs mount pressure on Health Ministry to probe undersupply of free insulin. And that is a story from Kwete Nate, my colleague here, an investigative piece which indicates that there has been some sort of misappropriation with the Diabetes Association, etc. But you can keep following that story. There's more on My Joy Online. There will be more on our platforms and some more analysis as well. And Ghana International Bank dismisses allegations of money laundering against Asante Hinotu for 32. Maymix moves to scamper retrieval of 51.2 million. And hot audio, 99% of gas stations do not comply with safety precautions. That's certainly scary. And President Alassane Ouattara arrives in Ghana. That is certainly what you will call Pasco, but that's not the story. We do have the update by the other top, but this is something that was done before. Let's move away from myjoyonline.com, and we're going on with cityfmonline.com. And at CityFM, you see, probing Otun for 350,000 transaction needless. That's Otto Echampong. Okay, that story also is connected to Asante Newton Force 82's story. And banking consultant rejects money laundering claims against Otunfuo. So he's a banking consultant, but obviously will have some sort of sympathies for either the Ashanti Kingdom or the Asante Hene, or you know what it means, right? Okay, so he's got his own thought and he's sharing it. Fire service to train and fortify or certify gas tanker drivers and mates. If you followed the discussion about the blast or the explosion at the Medina Atomic Junction, one of the things that they have said, including the NPA boss, I have heard him say, is that there was a leakage, and then once the leakage started, the driver and his mate alerted a few people around. They took off, alerted a few people around to run away, and they are saying that that is not ideal. That is not what ought to be done under those circumstances. So, well, the Ghana's National Fire Service is saying they're going to be training them. Hopefully that works pretty well. Let's see how that goes as well. And the Asante money laundering claims baseless. That's according to Ghana International Bank. Those are the stories. CTFMonline.com seems to be very heavy on the Otumfuo's case. Our gas did not cause atomic junction explosion. That's according to the Ghana Gas. They've been dominating the news as well, trying to defend themselves all over the place. But we'll hope to see the reports. The report is necessary. The report from that outbreak, the explosion, is necessary for us to understand what went wrong so we can learn something. Because it appears we're not really learning anything from all of these disasters that we've had to deal with. Can Ghana's emergency response handle terror attack? I don't know what your answer will be. I don't have the answer. I really don't, because I don't want to sound pessimistic. Let's move on from ctfmonline.com. Let's check out what we have elsewhere. And we go to the BBC African page. Somalia buries 165 unknown bomb victims. And, you know, sometimes it sounds like it's gone quiet. People aren't dying, and then all of a sudden it blows up again and people are dying. I mean, you just have no words to explain some of these things. But Saturday's truck bombing in the capital is the deadliest attack in Somalia's 10-year insurgency. So this has been going on for a decade, 10 years. And the death toll is unaccountable. Who are Somalia's Al-Shabaab? That's a story that's related to this as well. A number of stories, quite a number of stories. Africa highlights Kenya MP in sex tips gaffe. Row over Zuma statue in Nigeria. Cairo is the beg your pardon, most dangerous city for women. That's a feature as well on the BBC. BBC, you can scroll all the way down and read for yourself some of the stories there as well. Okay. So hopefully you've been updated on what's happening in terms of news, what's happening locally, what's happening in the sub-region, in the African sub-region. And if you're interested, you go on BBC, you can get all of the stories, international stories as well. This is still the AM show. We'll be having a very interesting political talk. But you know that before talk is sport. And Benedict Owusu is standing by with sports here on the AM show. In the meantime, let me just remind you that it is World Poverty Eradication Day. We're looking at how we can remove poverty, make people live in a humane manner, because poverty really isn't humane, is it?